I'm Jen Burson. I am the founder of Generation PR and the creator of the Powerhouse Pros community, Pitching Powerhouse podcast. Welcome. Today we're going to talk about brand audits because this is something that is kind of necessary when you start working with a client, and a lot of companies don't necessarily have this in place, and it is something that you can use to kick off your strategy for PR in a way that is very intentional and very results oriented and growth oriented. So to do a brand audit for all of your clients. So this is a great way to get a status update on how your clients are doing in their niche. They can really help you kind of zoom out and get a better sense of the progress you and your client have made over the last year or so that you've been working together. And this is also really essential to building an effective PR strategy, because without them, you don't know what's working and what isn't really moving the needle or isn't doing well in the efforts you've been making. So I wanted to share some of my best tips for doing brand audits with your clients, whether they're totally brand new to your agency or they've been on your roster for years. What even is a brand audit? It is an overarching checkup on your client's brand and how they're faring in the media, how they're faring with their connection to consumers, consumer sentiment, the overall kind of brand sentiment, what the brand looks like in their consumer facing, their owned media outlets, their social platforms, their brand identity, and then also earned media. What is it, positive, negative, neutral? Like, how do they stack up next to their competitors? And we think it is a great idea to do a brand audit every time a new client joins your agency, and then you can continue to do them annually. Or every time your retainer renews. A brand audit should evaluate your client's position in their niche. How are they doing against their competitors? You can look at their website, their web traffic, their social media pages, the engagement level, the growth in their following, whether there's been an increase or a drop off. You can look at their mailing list growth, other things that are a reflection or like KPIs that you're monitoring to show the initiatives that you're taking, the efforts you're making, and what changes have happened with the brand since that. It's never fun. We don't love playing the comparison game, but it can really help you identify where your client can improve against their competitors or even against their own benchmarks. Your audit should also cover your client's strengths, their weaknesses. It's like that SWOT analysis, opportunities, threats, and really looking at the strengths that you've pinpointed to show what's working, and that you can let them know you're going to continue doing those things. You're going to lean into them a little bit more. And when you hone in on their weaknesses, you can build a plan and slowly start to turn those things into improvements, maybe even turn them into strengths. So how do you do a brand audit for a current client? We're going to talk about for strategies here. Number one, you're going to do a KPI review. So you should already be generating your monthly reports, but you should also be annually reviewing the KPIs you establish with your clients. And a year-end review will let you zoom out, see that broader scope of your client's journey over the year. Like, what are the things that have maybe impacted them negatively? And you'll also be able to identify trends, anything that might look like a trend surrounding audience behavior. So how did your client's audience react to a new product launch? Did it fall flat? Was it like a total home run, and why? What outreach methods worked best? So you can see what really moved the needle, and what is the impact of your media features. So that's part of this kind of KPI review. The KPIs that you track will depend on the services that you provide and your client's niche, obviously also their goals, their objectives, but some metrics that are common for most digital agencies like the ones we're running are affiliate sales, increase of web traffic or even decrease. That's something you should track. Any growth in their social channels, influencer engagement, how many inbound links there are to their website, also the number of press mentions, the impressions and ad value equivalency or the media value, maybe sales. So that's number one. And then two, generate a rough plan. So once you have this data in hand, take a step back and really ask yourself how the year has gone. What's really happened in the past year. And as you ask yourself these questions, make sure you always bring it back to, like I said before, your client's goals and their objectives. I got a couple questions here you can ask yourself. Okay, cool. Number one, ask yourself what's working well and how can we do more of that? What actually has been a huge hit for the client. Make your clients' huge hits the cornerstone of your overarching strategy. Figure out how you can lean more into what's already working and leverage the good results that you've already achieved to get more of that kind of placement. Okay. Number two is ask yourself what isn't working well, and then how can we address that? We like to think of this as defer, delegate, delete. So if you have a goal or a project that's not getting good result, figure out whether you should defer, put off the goal further down the road, shift your focus to prep for other ways you can use that strategy to set up for success that maybe isn't present right now. Or should you delegate this project to another team member or a private labeled service provider who will be able to execute it properly, or delete it? So is this project pulling focus from projects that will get good results, and does it need to be just cut overall? Like, it's not working, we're not doing it anymore. So we've got defer, delegate, delete, and you got to think about if it's not working well, these are the ways you could possibly address it. Question three is, what new things could you implement? So what are some new tools or tech or some trends? These pop up all the time. Is there anything that's come onto the scene lately that you might want to try with this client? You can also go back through your notes and pull any strategies or angles that you set on the back burner that you want to try in the upcoming year. Number four, you can ask, what does the audience want and need? You really want to tie things back to what the audience is most concerned about or struggling with, or what's on their mind the most. We know that it is so easy to get kind of bogged down in the day-to-day of what we're doing that we lose sight of what is most important and it has the most impact, and that's the audience, the potential customers of our clients. And the success of this audience and their customers, what they are struggling with and how you can serve them, or what their reviews say, what their feedback says, and how we can do better to serve their needs. So you want to really look at their reviews and say, what do they want and what do they expect to see from your client? Or are there opportunities to reduce costs? How can you do a cost savings? So this is more focused on your own agency. So the end review as an agency owner is a good idea to kind of check in with your client's budget and what they're looking to do and what it's costing your agency. So this is where you can kind of keep things to yourself, because it ties back to the pay-to-play opportunities or events. What is it that you are doing that maybe isn't super budget friendly for them? and it might be eating into your margin. Are there opportunities to reduce costs? This is what we're looking at. And then also you want to review all of the expenses that are going into the implementation of your client's current strategy. Look at the team costs. Is there anything that you could cut back on to streamline or to reduce expenses? Okay, so then we have these 5 questions you just asked under generating a rough plan. And then number 3, meet with your client. So after you've taken the time to build your rough plan, get a call on the schedule and discuss the audit. And during this call, you should share your expertise, the rough strategies that you've come up with for them, and then they should share their own goals, because just because you started working together 6, 12, 18 months ago, their goals might have changed a bit. This is our time on these calls to collaborate on your plan for the next year and ensure that it will at least address everyone's goals and has a good chance of achieving them. And you want to make sure that everyone's expectations are aligned. Misaligned expectations will always lead to unhappy clients. So you want to ensure that their expectations of how things are going or how things could go are pretty in sync with what's likely to happen. And maybe you undersell it even, and then you can over deliver with results that you get. But both you and your client should be on board with the plan and feel confident in what it realistically would look like when results come in. And then number 4, you've done all this prep work. Now it's time to build the strategy. So put it into action. Take all of the findings from your brand audit and the client meeting and their goals and what your plan is for achieving those goals and put them into a thorough and well-considered press plan where you are going to hit goals, strategies, objectives, and tactics that you're going to implement in the next year. So that's when you have an existing client. Now we are going to talk about how to do a brand audit for a new client when you kick off the engagement or a prospective client. So this is a bit trickier. You're going to first review their existing brand presence. So it's not like what have we been doing the last year, but this is where you don't have as much access to information as you would with a current client, but you're going to review their brand presence and it will help you decide whether this client would be a good fit for your agency or could help you generate a rough strategy. This process will help you generate a strategy to present during the proposal process. And I say rough, meaning very rough, not detailed, not a strategic approach they can take and run and not use you, but it will give you a sense of like, can we even help them? Are they in a position for us to be successful? And this is where, again, you start with the website, their social media platforms, do a Google search and review any awards or any press placements that they've gotten. And while you're doing this search, you want to ask yourself, what's the general sentiment about this brand? Who's their target audience or their target customer? Do you have relationships with the outlets that their target audience is likely to read? Do you know how to pitch them? Do you have a sense of the niche and how to position the brand to, kind of set them apart from the competition? What are their most popular products and services? What types of social media posts and platforms do they have that get the most engagement? What performs really well? How many followers do they have and what is their engagement level? Also, what current PR strategies do they seem to be using? And where are they getting featured? Is it organic? Is it an effort? I like to ask this to myself and then ask them when we're talking, do they seem to be working with a PR pro or an agency now? Have they in the past? And then I say, what happened? Why are you no longer? Why are you looking to make a change? Number 2, you're going to build out that rough strategy. So it looks similar to how you would do it for a brand audit for a client that you've partnered with for a while, but you're going to zoom out to this big picture, ask yourself similar questions like, what are they doing well? How would you lean into that? What aren't they doing? And how would you fix it? What new things would you recommend they do that aren't currently in their efforts that they're making? And what does their audience want and need? And how will you take that into consideration? How can you build a strategy that's going to solve a problem or highlight that they do solve a problem, or really kind of show their audience that their values are aligned, that they really haven't leaned into that's important to their customers? And then number 3, discuss this approach with your new or your potential client. So your meeting will look a bit different depending on if they're already a part of your agency or it's still like in that kind of courting period and they're just a prospect. But if you're doing an audit for a prospective client, work it into, I would say, post-discovery call. You want to work it in. So this is where you can bake some of these questions, knowing you're going to be doing an audit, bake it into the discovery call, and then this report will come out, or like it becomes part of the proposal, part of the capabilities deck, and like a rough sort of, this is what's next. These are next steps. Ask them what their goals are for the potential partnership. Get on the same page. What are they doing? Like, why are they doing this? And if they've never worked with a PR agency before, you'll probably have to explain what PR is, look at their possibly sky high expectations and reset them, and show them what the value of PR is so that they can see and you both agree on what success looks like. And if you are auditing a new client, so they are on the roster, they're paying you, this should be part of the kickoff call. And by now, you should already have a sense of their goals from that discovery phase. But it's always a good idea to check in. Brand audits set clients up for success. I've not taken clients on until they have fulfilled certain things like better website, yes, social overhaul. You know that they are not going to present well to their consumers, the editorial like pool that you're going to pitch to, if their social presence is like lackluster or inconsistent, their brand identity is kind of janky, their website has broken links. Like, these are the things that you're going to look and be like, you have to get this under control. It could also be the images that they have, the product images or lack thereof, the brand positioning. We've had to hire copywriters and say, you have no identity here. You have no sense of where you are as it relates to your competitors, and your founder story is lacking. Your brand positioning is lacking. Their brand identity is a reflection of our agency too. Okay. You want to ensure that when you kick off that there isn't anything that's changed, that you're all on the same page regarding what's possible, what's realistic, and you may need to reset any expectations that have set in after speaking with other agencies. This is a big deal. So the hope is that when they pick your agency, it is because they like your trustworthiness, they believe that you are the best to deliver on what you have stated is realistic. But they could have talked to 2, 3, 4, 5 other agencies in between, and they might have sold them a bill of goods that's not reasonable, or at least not reasonable with your approach or how you do things. And there's a reason why they picked you, but you do need to make sure that you are continuing to set their expectations to be realistic. Okay, so then the 4th thing you do is you create a press plan once you have all that information. Only do a full audit and create a press plan after they have paid you, after they've started their retainer. I know I'm preaching to the choir here. Audits and press plans take a lot of time. They take a lot of energy, and you should not be doing them if you're not guaranteed to implement them. Although I will say, let me backtrack on that. If the client isn't quite ready to kick off on a retainer situation with PR. And they're like, we're not sure. Sell them an audit as a service. And that could be the thing that gets you a foot in the door, that shows them, here are the ideas that we have. You're going to get paid for that. You're not giving it for free. Do not do this without getting paid. And if it is not going to be you implementing it, at least get that fee up front. You want to be the one to implement it. So your press plan should cover goals, strategy, objectives, tactics that you would be looking to implement over the next year. And make sure you take your findings from your brand audit and your new clients' expectations and their goals into consideration. Once they've paid you for an outcome, they're more likely to do it again. And especially if you're building a strategy and you start to build in some things that you're uniquely qualified to execute for them. She could build a strategy for a client and put that in there, and they might be like, oh, well, who's going to do that? Well, that's what I do. This is why this is a good strategy for you, and this is what we do. This is what we are known for. You can get paid to create these strategies and then say, this is what we do. We want to execute. Brand partnerships, red carpet, and events, the NDPR Chef's Kiss. This is a good way to get your foot in the door, get them paying, get them dipping their toe in the water and feeling really good about working with you. And that's what I have for you guys today. Okay, guys, be well. Ciao. Bye.